Okay, guys. So after we read the passage, I'm now going to show you how we can use our reading voice and our thinking voice. Oh my gosh, I wrote them in the wrong colors. Our reading voice and our thinking voice, thinking voice, to help us make sense of the passage. So I draw, the reading voice is supposed to be green, the thinking voice is supposed to be yellow, but that's okay. Maybe I can fix it real quick. No, I can't fix it. I'll just write it in green. Okay. Alrighty, so remember our reading voice and our thinking voice are the two voices that we have in our head when we read, and they talk to each other, and they help us make sense of what we're reading. We read a little bit, we have a thought. We read a little bit more, we have another thought. We read a little bit more, we have another thought. And our thinking voice is what connects us to the text, okay? Remember our thinking voice, when we read, might say, we might be reading, and then our thinking voice might say, hey, that's happened to me before. And we might read, and our thinking voice says, oh my goodness, I've seen that before, or I wonder. So it helps us make sense of what we are reading. So we are going to use our two voices with this passage to help us make sense of the entire passage, okay? So I will model it for you, but then you guys are going to do this on your own with a different passage in your Seesaw assignment. Alrighty? Okay, so I'm going to start with my reading voice. First of all, my reading voice reads the title first and says, The Big Mess. And all of a sudden, I'm going to write big mess because that is a detail from the passage that my reading voice read. And all of a sudden, my thinking voice is popping in and saying, oh, I've made a big mess before. Okay? So I'm remembering times that I've made a big mess. I'm remembering what a big mess looks like. Okay, so my thinking voice is going to just write, I've made a big mess before. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with my reading voice. The hall was such a big mess. So right away, I'm going to stop because it says that the hall was a mess. And my thinking voice is telling me, I wonder if that means when they say the hall was a mess, I wonder what that means. What hall? What are they talking about? Are they talking about the hall at school? Are they talking about a hall at home? I know we're talking about a hallway, but my thinking voice is already saying, I wonder where. Wonder where the hallway is, right? I'm wondering. I'm having a thought. So I'm going to keep going. Mom was not mad. She did not yell, but she said, pick this up. So the reading voice is telling me that Mom was involved, which means that the mess is probably at home because usually moms are not at school with us, right? So, okay, I just answered my question. Wonder where they're at? Well, since Mom is involved, I bet they're at home. What a mess, said Mom. Put your ball in the box and get this mud off the wall. So we have a ball and mud all over the wall. So I wonder if they just come inside from playing outside and got the hallway all dirty. So my thinking voice is wondering if that's what's going on. Jill and Bill did the big job. Did they fuss? They did not fuss at all. So Mom's not the one who cleaned up. Jill and Bill cleaned up. So my thinking voice is telling me, well, if Jill and Bill were the people who had to clean up the mess, I bet they're the ones who made the mess, right? And my thinking voice is also telling me that if we are at home in the story and Mom is telling them to pick up their mess, I'm wondering if Jill and Bill are brother and sister, okay? And it says that they did not fuss. So then my thinking voice is saying, well, good for Jill and Bill taking responsibility for their mess and picking it up. So now I'm going to use what my reading voice told me and what my thinking voice was thinking to fill in this chart. Okay, so our chart are story elements. The first one are characters. Remember, characters are the people and animals in a story. Okay, then we have a setting. The setting is where and when the story takes place. And the main events is what happened in the story. What was the problem? What was the solution? Okay, so let's talk about characters. So my reading voice told me all of these characters that were in the story, right? We have Mom and Jill and Bill, okay? So those are the characters in the story. There was not anybody else in the story. Alrighty, my reading voice told me Mom, Jill, and Bill. Those are the characters. So I have Mom, Jill, and Bill, right? Setting. So this one we kind of had to make an inference because it doesn't come out and tell us exactly where we're at in the story. But remember, our reading voice told us that the hall was such a big mess. And we were wondering, what kind of hall? Like in the school or at home? But then when we read on, we saw that Mom was in the story. And it says that Mom was not mad and she did not yell, but she said to pick up the mess. So because of that, because we know that the hall was a mess, but because Mom was involved, remember we said they're probably at home. Okay, so that's the setting. Where are they at? They're at home. Okay, let's talk about the main events. So we know that they're at home. A mess got made, right? So what is the problem in here? What is the problem from our passage? It's the big mess, isn't it? And we can even find that from the title, The Big Mess. So the main events, Jill and Bill made a really big mess at their house, didn't they? Jill and Bill made a very big mess at home. Okay, they made a huge mess at home. Was Mom upset with them? No. Okay, so their mom wasn't that mad. Was not mad, but she did ask them to pick it up, right? So then that's the solution of our problem. So Jill and Bill made a mess. Mom found the mess. She wasn't really mad, but the solution to the problem was she did have Jill and Bill pick up their mess, and they did it without fussing, right? So Jill and Bill picked up their mess without fussing. Okay, good job. So I just want you to notice how I was able to use both of my voices, my reading voice and my thinking voice, to make inferences about what I was reading while I was reading it. So that way when I came down to fill out the elements of the story, it was easier for me because while I was reading, I was listening to my thinking voice. Okay, so you guys are going to practice this with a different passage. You are going to read the passage, and then you are going to use your thinking voice to make inferences about it, but then also fill out a story element chart telling me the characters, the setting, and the main events in the passage that you read. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.